Good morning, everyone. This is Dr. Kondrot, and welcome to Ask Dr. Kondrot a Question. I'm so happy that so many of you have joined. And before I begin, I want to thank all of you for subscribing to Substack. Your payment for Substack goes towards our mission work. Many of you know we just got back from Togo, Africa. We had a wonderful mission. So I do appreciate all your support, and I'm here to help you. So I think we're planning to do this twice a month now, and we're going to make it Saturday at noon Eastern time. So it'll be a little bit more convenient for those of you that live on the West Coast. You have to get up early for this, and many of you work, so we're going to make it on the weekends. In fact, we were planning to do that, but there was a glitch in the scheduling. That's why we're doing it today. So let's get rolling. So the way to do this is I appreciate it if you raise your hand. You can either do it with an icon. There's a little icon hand down below. Or you can actually physically raise your hand. And then when I do call on you, if you could state your name and where you're from, and then ask me your questions. We have a hand up. Claudia Christman. Claudia, you have to unmute, and I'm going to lower your hand. Hello, Claudia. You have to unmute, Claudia. I put a request in for you to unmute, but apparently you're muted, so. Claudia?
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me
Yep,
now?
I can hear you now. Where are you from?
I'm from Massachusetts, and I don't know what happened to my picture. So I'm here, even though I don't know why I'm not showing up. I have a question with macular degeneration. Could you tell me, I've heard a lot about red light therapy. What do you know about red light therapy and macular degeneration?
Well, first of all, it depends on the type of macular degeneration. Red light
Dry.
therapy,
I have
yeah,
dry.
red light therapy, if you have wet, can be risky because you're putting energy in. Dry macular degeneration, the cells of the retina are dying. So red light therapy can be very, very beneficial. But it is important that you use the right wavelength of light and also the right intensity. And it depends how you deliver it. If the intensity or brightness is too high, that can cause damage to your eye. There are some devices that you do the red light therapy through a closed eyelid. And studies have shown that you get more beneficial effect if you have a certain frequency. By that, I mean the light pulsates. And apparently, if the light pulsates, studies have shown that you get a better improvement of retinal function. So the device I like is the Delta laser. And you can go to my website. I have information on that. That's the one I've been using over the years, the Delta laser. And that I think can be helpful. But remember, I would not jump to light therapy. I think with all eye problems, you have to look at the basics. And number one is diet. I'm old school. I think food is our best medicine. If God wanted us to use red therapy, he would give us a red light or grow it on trees. But he did give us something called the sun. And many of you have heard of Dr. Bates. He was an ophthalmologist in the early 1900s. And Dr. Bates talked about sunning. And sunning is kind of like light therapy. But it's important you do the sunning in the early morning or the evening when you have the red spectrum. The red spectrum is what you want. So when you have that beautiful sunset, close your eyes and turn your head back and forth, and you'll see the image of the sun going across your eyes. So that's kind of like a natural way. You can learn more about light therapy if you download my free book, 10 Essentials to Save Your Sight. I have a chapter on light therapy. It's a free download. So go to my website, Healing the Eye, all one word, healingtheeye.com. And there's a little icon. Click to download Dr. Kondrot's best-selling book, and you'll get a PDF copy. And I do have a chapter on light therapy and on the Bates therapy.
Could you tell me healing? What did you say? What's the website?
All one word, healing the eye. H E
Healing the eye?
the
The? Okay.
Theye. Make
Okay.
sure you have two E's in there. Theye. No
Okay.
dots, no dashes, just healingtheeye.com. HealingTheeye. No
Th-
spaces, no dots, no dashes, just all one
Thank,
word. And you'll
thank
find.
you.
So I think that's the first step. And it's interesting in my book, the first chapter and the most important is guess what it deals with.
Macular degeneration or light?
No, it deals with diet and nutrition. No
Okay.
matter what eye condition you have to look at your diet. You have to look at what you're putting into your body.
I've eaten organic for the last 55 years, so I
Yeah, well, there's good organic and there's bad organic. So I don't want to get into that. Let's take the next question. Linda, how are you?
Great, thanks. I just
And
joined.
where are you from?
I'm from Toronto, Canada. It's a nice sunny
Well,
day.
welcome to Substack.
Thank you. A friend introduced me to you not that long ago, and I've been reading things on your website. And actually, when you talked about the sun, I had a question because I was reading yesterday about I have cataracts. I actually canceled my surgery because my intention is to, heal it because I read somewhere on your site that people that get cataract surgery has a higher likelihood of getting macular degeneration.
Yeah.
Mom has it, so I've seen how she's suffered over the years. She has the form that nothing can be done, apparently. So I'm really focused on my desire is to heal my cataracts. And one of the things I was with another ophthalmologist who's holistic, she encouraged us to have all light of the sun all day because we need all the rays. But in your information, it was for cataracts not to have the midday sun in your eyes to protect yourself.
Well, blue light during the day is very helpful for your body. Blue light at night is harmful, not
Right.
helpful. So you do need ultraviolet light or blue light during the day. But when you have cataracts, an excessive amount of blue light going
Yes.
into the eye can be damaging, the ultraviolet light. So I would not look directly at the sun. I would make sure that the sun's reflection is not going into your eye, and wear protective lenses. That can be helpful. But the blue light on your body is essential for healthy metabolism, and avoid the blue light at night. But a cataract is a warning sign. Something's
Mhm.
going on with your body.
Yeah.
I do mission work in Africa, and I see young people in their 20s and 30s that are blind from cataract. I mean, they can barely see light. And
Wow.
the reason why they get it is because of nutrition, poor nutrition. And I think a lack of vitamin C
Mm.
and toxic heavy metals.
Right.
So
Okay.
I would recommend that you take some supplemental vitamin C. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I like Enerc, ENER-C. You can buy that on Amazon or in the health food
Mm-hmm.
store. It's a powdered vitamin C, non-GMO, which is important. And to maybe take 3 grams of that a day.
Okay.
Also, I like a product called Oclumed. It's an eye drop. When you get a cataract in your eye, they find that the ascorbic acid levels, or vitamin C, and glutathione levels are reduced in the aqueous or fluid that bathes the cataract. So it makes sense. Increase the glutathione and increase the uh, ascorbic acid. Now, glutathione, you can use a glutathione precursors. The N-acetylcysteine is a glutathione precursor, and Can-C eye drop is another eye drop that I haven't had much success with Can-C. It's N-acetylcysteine. I like Oclumed. Oclumed
Okay.
seems to make a difference for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Then, of course, in my program, we use microcurrent and we use specific light therapies that can help. So if you're interested in my program, that's the
Yeah.
best way I can help you. I would recommend specific light frequencies to treat your cataract, microcurrent. And I can't forget about my favorite treatment.
What's that?
And I hope everybody knows my favorite treatment. Homeopathy.
Oh, yeah, I love homeopathy.
Homeopathy. In fact, in 1885, there was a study. Doctor, I think his name was Norton, looked at 295 patients that had cataracts, and over 70% of them were successfully treated with homeopathy. So the right homeopathic remedy can help. Now, people always ask me, what is the best homeopathic remedy for a cataract? Well, if I have 100 patients, each one may need a different homeopathic remedy because we treat the person,
Yeah.
not the cataract. We treat the person that has the cataract. So it depends on your nature and temperament. So I mentioned earlier that a cataract is a warning sign. We need to determine the underlying cause. What is causing the cataract in your body? It might be heavy metals, it might be nutrition, or it could be an emotional disharmony.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I kind of joke that one of the biggest things that we have is the fear of getting older. So
Mm.
maybe God gives us a cataract. So when we look in the mirror, the vision's a little blurred. We look good, you know.
Mhm.
So I'm 75. I'm 75. I feel like I'm 20. And when I look in the mirror, I don't like to see that old guy. So
Mhm.
maybe God will give me a cataract. So I look in the mirror and I say, "Hey, Dr. Kondrot, you're looking great."
No, I agree with that. I mean, I had a very emotional thing that happened to me, and was not didn't like looking at what the future was going to bring. So it makes sense. Like
Oh yeah, a
I
lot of
agree with
things.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
What are you afraid of? What
yeah.
is it you don't want to see? So
Yeah.
sometimes people going through a divorce, a death of a loved
That's
one,
what it was.
trauma. Yeah, all
Yeah.
those things affect the energy of the body, and that's where homeopathy can tackle it.
So if you for homeopathy, I mean, I've seen a homeopathist. I understand it's there's a lot of evaluation. So is that something you would do during your through your program, or what?
Yep,
How would I?
we do that during our program, or I can do that separately.
Okay.
I love homeopathy. So a lot of people can't afford my program
Mm-hmm.
um, because it is, the big ticket items, the microcurrent device.
Right.
But I would really encourage you to schedule a homeopathic evaluation,
Okay.
and we can get started. And we do
Okay.
that. We do that on Zoom. We just dig and try to find out what's going on, and we recommend
Mhm.
a homeopathic remedy.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you. Let's see. I'm looking for other hands here. Try not to. Okay, yeah. All right, Linda Enger.
Good
Hi, Linda.
morning. Good
And,
morning.
and where are you from?
Oh, I've talked to you several times. I'm still from Scottsdale.
No, no, but other people in the Substack don't know you.
I have a first before I ask I question. I have a question. I noticed that all of a sudden I can't remember if it's on Instagram or Facebook. Your videos from these sessions pop up. I thought these were private. Are you publishing these publicly, or is this supposed to be a private Substack group?
Well, it's obviously not private. The only
I
people,
mean, within this group,
yeah, the only people that can join this are Substack subscribers.
but the people that see it, so they see our faces and our names and they know our stories is
Yep,
public.
yep, it's public. It's
Hmm.
just like a radio show. When you call into a radio show, it is not private. The only time it'll be private is when I have a one-on-one. So that is a sacrifice that you make. When you come on Substack here, it is not private, it's public. I mean, obviously it's public because we have, I don't know how many people we have on
No,
right
I meant within this group, the privacy of the group. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, but
Um,
right now it is private with the group. So when you ask a question, it's you know, a person who's not subscribed to Substack can't call in and ask a question. It's
I
only
understand,
subscribed.
but to be honest, I haven't looked at the ones on Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is, so I didn't see what you edited out. So are is this our names, our full names, and our stories are all public?
They are public, yes.
Hmm. Okay, well, it's good to keep that in mind for everybody.
Yeah. Well, I
Um,
would not talk about anything personal because we are in a rather large group. But, you know, whenever you have a private interview with me,
I
that is
understand.
private.
I got
Yeah,
that. I got
yeah.
that. Thank you so much. Okay, so now this is the first time I heard about you're doing. So I have a question on microcurrent and I have a question on homeopathy. I didn't realize that you did. I keep needing to send you. I now have a new updated chart notes that's going to be coming in for my doctor to send you. And I need to be reminded once again, I'm so sorry. Where do we send those notes to for a free review?
You would go to free consult, all one word, freeconsult.us, not
Okay.
.com, not .net, .org, .us.
Great.
Free.
Okay, so I
Yeah.
just did a plug for that. I just did an advertisement for that, so that's good. And then the next thing is I didn't realize that you did because how much does the microcurrent machine cost through you?
Well, the microcurrent machine, you can buy a microcurrent machine unprogrammed. First of all, you have to have a physician's license to even sell it. And the microcurrent machine has 10 protocols. Each protocol is for a specific treatment in your body. So it's kind of like um, a health device. You know, it can be for arthritis, it can be for digestion. The machine is, I believe, around $3,000 for 10 protocols. And we have a list of different protocols. I personally will program the one for your eye because people just don't have cataracts. They may have cataracts, dry eyes, they may have cataracts macular. So we would put in certain frequencies to help you with your eye. Um,
Would you, in the reason why I'm asking is because I just came back from Maryland, DC area, and one of my nieces lives in the DC area, and she's a very accomplished, she's a doctor of acupuncture, and she uses microcurrent in her clinic. And I had been in a workshop that is put on by SIBO SOS and totally other thing. And she was promoting someone else's. This is, not going to give the name of the product right now, but he had a special that ended yesterday. And he now has microcurrent goggles. And I know he's talked to you. I asked him about his knowledge of you, and he has microcurrent goggles for eye things. And he was talking about all these different protocols, but he's not an eye doctor. He is a naturopath. And and so they had all these different programs and all these different attachments.
well, let me just interrupt you because we have a lot of other questions.
Yes,
People are waiting. There are
yes,
many, many microcurrent devices, and
yes.
microcurrent works. You have to be careful because if you have the wrong current intensity and the wrong frequency, it's not going to help you. I
I
love
understand that.
acupuncture. Acupuncture is extremely beneficial. Acupuncturists will treat different meridians on your body
Yes,
that help the eye.
yes,
Now, the danger is a lot of microcurrent machines have a very high current.
yes, I
I have
understand.
found that a high current that may be beneficial for muscles and things like that can damage the eye.
I'm showing you your book. It's not showing up on here. And I know I had read that a long time ago in your book. That's how I got started with you. So I understand it needs to be low current.
And it
So,
also has to have the right frequencies. And of course, you're paying for my expertise. I've been
right.
doing this for probably close to 30 years, and we have various frequencies that I've tested over the 30 years for different problems. So there are microcurrent machines, but I would say use them cautiously. And certainly you want to deal with an eye doctor and not a naturopath. You're not going to come to me for a treatment of heart problems or sciatica. You know, my
Understand.
specialty is the
I
eye.
understand. And so not um not to cut you off, but so my niece can get me a microcurrent machine for her, her doctor price for me to use that's different than what this other one was. And I'm wondering if it's the same one and if I can get it through her and have you give me programs,
No,
or
I
if I
would
have to
not
buy.
do that because if I would give the programs to your niece, she would have
No,
those frequencies and
no,
she
no.
could use them.
For me to use on another machine. You said so. You won't give us a protocol with another
No,
machine.
no,
Okay.
because they're proprietary And I don't know the other machine. Even if you would buy my machine, I'm not going to give you those protocols because then you would have access to proprietary frequencies.
Well,
And in
how
the
do I use the
past,
machine if I don't have the protocol?
well, that's why I have my program set up where we
Oh,
actually educate you.
it's programmed, you're saying. I don't,
Yeah, it's programmed. We have maybe 30 or 40 different frequency lines. It's just not one frequency that you use.
right.
It's a protocol. Maybe if it's a 30-minute treatment and every 30 seconds a different frequency pair goes in. It's not one frequency.
I understand that.
Yeah.
And which machine is it that you use, may I ask?
I use the Inspirstar.
Infirstar?
Inspirstar. Inspirstar. Like inspiration.
Right.
Inspirstar.
Okay. I'm just wondering if it's the same one,
And you
just
can go to their website and get information about the Inspirstar machine.
Inspirstar.
Yeah, like inspiration.
Yes,
Inspirstar.com.
I,
Inspirstar.
okay, great. Um, okay, so I have more questions, but as usual, and so if
Yeah,
you
let
could
me
circle back
take
to me.
somebody else. If we have
Yeah,
openings at the end, you can chime in.
thank you so much, doctor.
Good. Kristen, I don't see your last name, but your hand's up, Kristen. You have to unmute.
Yeah. Hi, doctor. Thank you. I wasn't prepared. How
How are you?
often?
Where are you from,
Oh, I'm
Kristen?
sorry. I'm from Richmond, Virginia. And
Okay, welcome
I
to
have a
Suffolk.
son with vision loss. So I've been, just learning more things over the years. I went back over his records the other day, though. And how often, I wanted to ask you, do you see like Bartonella from macular exudate or macular star with vision loss? And do you check for it yourself?
What is the question?
From Bartonella, how often do you see that with macular star or macula exudates? Sorry if I'm saying
I'm
that
not
wrong.
familiar with Bartonella. I've never heard that before.
It's a co-infection from Lyme disease. I guess almost like.
Oh, Lyme disease, Bartonella, the virus.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Well, it's something we look for.
Right.
To be honest with you, I think it's overdiagnosed. People blame a lot
Okay.
of things on Lyme disease. I'm sick because I got Lyme disease, and many people have Lyme disease and don't have any symptoms. That's why I like homeopathy.
Okay.
Homeopathy treats, the theory is that the person has a weakness. And this is an age-old battle. Is it the virus or bacteria, or is it the person?
Okay.
And I believe that it's the weakness of the person. We're surrounded by bacteria, viruses. And if our constitution is weak, these organisms are going to take hold. So we can fight the organism, but the best way to help the body is to make the body stronger. That's why I like homeopathy. That's why I like microcurrent.
Okay.
Simple explanation with microcurrent. You've heard that if you're acidic, you want to be alkaline. Alkaline is good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Alkaline means you have more electrons, more energy in your body. When you're doing microcurrent, you're putting electrons in. You're making your body more alkaline. When you're sick, when you have the flu, when you have Lyme disease, your body becomes more acidic. So many of the things that we do, we're changing the pH balance of our body. When we become
That's
more alkaline, then we'll be able to fight the infection.
that's excellent information. I appreciate it. One other really quick question: when you were talking about the electrostimulus stuff that you do, have you heard of Fedorov in Germany, the Fedorov Institute? That
Oh, yeah, I'm familiar with his work. He uses microcurrent and he
Yeah.
has different devices.
Okay.
And some of his frequencies and methods are very similar to mine.
Okay. I just wondered what you thought about it. I know when my son went, he got some field of vision back on the map that you do the
Mhm.
testing, but he couldn't see any better. So I just wondered, that must be from the.
I would investigate homeopathy.
Okay.
If you Google homeopathy and Lyme disease,
All right.
in fact, there's a couple of homeopathic practitioners in Massachusetts that specialize in homeopathy and Lyme, and they've even published some research papers.
Okay. Thank you, doctor. I appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you. Um, Annette Webb. Hello, Annette. Hello, Annette.
Hello, hello.
Well, where are you from?
I'm from Akron, Ohio. Good morning.
Good morning
So
to you.
I'm wondering, are you familiar with the use of DMSO or chlorine dioxide to treat vision problems?
DMSO, we've used that in the past in terms of a preparation. Dr. Robert Rowan um, developed a mixture of DMSO, ascorbic acid, and glutathione. He was using that. I used that for quite some time for treating cataracts. The only thing I don't like about it, you have to go to a compound pharmacy. It has a short shelf life, and it's quite expensive. So I don't recommend the DMSO. Uh, the chlorine, what was the other one?
Chlorine dioxide.
Chlorine dioxide is one of many oxidative agents, which can be very, very beneficial. Hydrogen peroxide, chlorine dioxide, ozone, all of those oxidative agents can be beneficial because they're all ozonated products, highly reactive forms of oxygen, which
Mhm.
can help regeneration, improve oxygenation of your body. But you really need to go to an experienced practitioner who's knowledgeable with those items. I like ozone myself because ozone is something you can do on your own safely. I have a couple
Mhm.
YouTube videos all about ozone,
Okay.
and there are three basic methods of administering ozone. One is auricular. You put a stethoscope and you run ozone into your ears. That may seem kind of strange, but the thin membrane in your ear, the ozone is absorbed into your vascular system.
Mhm.
And the other one is rectal insufflation, which is probably the best way of doing it. You put the ozone in a bag and you administer it rectally. A lot of medications are administered rectally. The other one is ozone eye drops,
Mm.
which can be really helpful for dry eyes. I don't think it's that helpful for macular degeneration or glaucoma, but it's really good for eye infections, dry eyes, ozone eye drops. And I have a couple of YouTube videos. You can
Mhm.
find them on my YouTube site, which actually explains how to make your own ozone and how to administer ozone. One thing I like is I like to empower patients. So
Mhm.
I like to educate patients on things that they can do on their own where they don't have to depend on a doctor. That's one reason why I like the microcurrent device, because when you
Mhm.
purchase a microcurrent device, it is yours. You can do the eye treatments every day. You don't have to go to an acupuncture, which entails travel expenses and the daily acupuncture fee. So once you have the machine, it's an
Mhm.
investment.
Yeah. So back to the DMSO. Are you familiar with a guy who writes anonymously as a Midwestern doctor? He's on
No,
Substack. Fascinating stuff. But he did a series on DMSO, and he was writing about the treatment, the use of it for macular degeneration. And yeah, I feel like, in this day and age, you can't trust the mainstream medical profession to really guide you, and you have to piece
yeah.
together
Well,
your information.
if you could send me his article, I'd be happy to review it. But I
Okay.
have not had success. And believe you me, I have looked at everything. As soon as I hear of something that is supposed to work, I investigate it. And I
Okay.
have used DMSO in the past, and I have not had any great success with
Oh,
macular degeneration.
okay. And one last question is, what are all the conditions that you treat with a microcurrent?
Um, is there a treatment that you have in mind?
No, I'm just curious. I haven't been on a lot of these calls, so I'm just not clear. Like, do you use it mainly for glaucoma, or like, would it help
We
with?
use it for dry eyes, cataracts, wet macular, dry macular, uh, inflammation, iritis, uveitis. Over the years, we've studied different frequencies for just about every eye disease.
Okay.
I've been practicing ophthalmology for 45 years, and I've probably seen and heard of everything,
Mm-hmm.
and had the opportunity to not only use traditional treatment to treat these conditions, but also alternative. And in some cases, you need to go with the traditional treatment.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a retinal detachment, I'm not going to recommend you use microcurrent. I'm going to say you go
Mm-hmm.
to the surgeon and you get that retina put back on, and then you may want to use microcurrent to help the retina to heal.
Yeah.
So there's certain things that, surgery is best. And there's some conditions where it's a combination of surgery, medication, and alternative. And glaucoma can be one of those.
Yeah.
Glaucoma is probably one of the most serious conditions that I treat because glaucoma can lead to total blindness. I'm talking about midnight in the coal mine blindness where you see nothing.
Mhm.
And in some cases, you need to do everything, eye drop, surgery, microcurrent.
Yeah.
My goal is to do everything possible to improve your vision and preserve it.
Yeah. So with my, if I were to convince my 95-year-old father to do, to work with you and to get the microcurrent machine and so forth, would you say that there's like what chance of restoring some vision loss from dry
I
macular?
have to make a comment. If I was to talk to your 95-year-old father, I would not give him any advice. I would pick his brain and find out how he made it to 95.
You would love him.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, I'm going to have a consult with him. I'll pay to
Okay.
find out. What can he learn from me?
Well, he would love to have the vision in that eye restored. One eye is decent and the other eye is pretty bad, but it's still dry.
Well, there's always hope, and the first step would be to send me a copy of his records
Okay.
so I can look and see what are the possibilities. Now, one thing, when you do send me a copy of the records with the free consult,
Hmm.
uh, I personally review the records and I make notes and I give them to Chris. Then Chris will call you.
Okay.
But I don't personally call you back because that would, you'd have hundreds of questions for me and
Yeah.
it would be impossible. But I am able to personally review every eye records and
Okay.
history and make recommendations. Then Chris would call you.
Okay. And as
So
far as records, like, would you want uh like all of his records going way back or just the most current
just the
report?
most current.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Okay.
want to know where he is right now, what we can do. The extent of the damage in the eye, what type of macular degeneration, photographs, of the blood flow, and usually the most current record would have all that information.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
And then sometimes we would want some additional information.
Okay.
I may request something else.
Very good. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. All right. Any other? Let's see. Terry Freeman.
Hi, Dr. Kondrot.
Hi, Terry. We can't see you, but that's all right.
Oh.
Oh, now we see you.
Okay. Hi,
And then where are you from?
we're in Orlando, Florida.
Oh, great. Probably getting hot there, hot and humid, huh?
Well, it's still beautiful. So I wanted to say thank you because my husband had glaucoma, and with the microcurrent from your program, it's turned around probably 80%.
Oh, fantastic. I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, we are too. So we're thrilled. And I also listened to the webinar that the other woman listened to about another microcurrent person
Oh.
from the naturopath, and he was saying that his protocols were 3 minutes, and the microcurrent for the Inspire Star is, as you know, 38 minutes. Why would it be so different?
Well, there's different approaches. And actually, with the Inspire, on some programs, we can run them for 12 hours. I know that some doctors are running, like for diabetes, there's an insulin resistant protocol. And one of the doctors, you can run it for any length of time. Now, over the last 20 plus years that I've been doing the microcurrent for the eye, I've varied the time. Sometimes I would, try it for an hour, 2 hours, and 30 minutes seems to be the best time frame for the eye. Now, there may be other durations for other conditions.
Yeah. Okay, I have a question. So since my husband he's still completing the protocol because it's not completely gone. So we're working on it. But I was just wondering how I could use it. is there a general eye health? And
Yeah, we do have a general eye health protocol, but on the machine, there's a relaxation protocol, the stress protocol, the detox, the inflammation. So most of those protocols, you have 10 protocols on the machine, and any of those protocols outside the eye you could use. The other thing that people may not be aware, the machine is programmable. So once you have that at home, let's say you wanted to add something or trade something for a different protocol. Let's say you have constipation, you wanted a protocol for constipation. I could load that on the machine remotely. So we would get on a Zoom call, you'd plug your machine into the computer, I would get on your computer, and I can change your protocol and frequencies. In the past, the patient would have to mail the machine to the office or come to the office. Now, the engineers at Inspirastar have developed it that we can actually change protocols remotely, which is wonderful.
that is wonderful. We have Apple computers and we don't have Windows.
Does it matter?
Yeah, you would need a Windows computer, and you can pick up an inexpensive Windows computer for a couple $100, and that would be adequate to do a remote connection. But you would need a Windows computer.
Okay, I was going to ask you how we could reprogram it.
Yeah, you would talk to Chris. You'd have to download the special software and get a cable, at Best Buy or any electronics store, which would connect the microcurrent machine to the computer. And then you would call into a Zoom and then we would connect and make the changes.
Okay. And so we have to pay for the software?
You'd have to talk to Chris about that
Okay.
because the software is not my software. It's the Inspirastar company software.
Okay.
So you'd have to buy it through them.
Okay.
It's reasonable. It's not really expensive.
Okay.
The other nice thing is too, that if you are using an eye, let's say, for example, you called me up and said, my husband's been doing the treatment for the glaucoma and he hasn't had any improvement. Well, then what I would do is I would log on to the computer and maybe make some changes and tweak some changes to see. But because he's responded so well to the protocol, I'm not going to make any changes.
Okay. So he has 38 minutes daily. That's the way. How long does he go? Do we wait till all of his black cells turn white?
Well, would probably want to have a consult and I'd want to review his records and we may want to make some changes, but typically I'd want you to use the microcurrent until you reach the plateau and there was no more improvement. So let's say after a month or two, there's no improvement, then I may want to tweak it.
Okay. Plus he does the eye, looking through the colored glasses.
Mhm.
Do we continue with that?
Yes, you would continue with that.
Okay. And that's 10 minutes a
Yeah.
day.
Oh, for those of you, I do meet with all the people in my program. We meet twice a month. So I prefer, Terry, that you would ask all these questions in the meeting that I have with all the patients using the program.
Okay.
Because, I think we may be confusing a lot of people when
No,
they
it's
start
great.
hearing.
It's
Yeah.
great. Thank you.
Also,
Thank you,
Chris,
Terry.
when you join my program, you meet with Chris every week for simple questions like where do I put this and how do I do this? And, the machine's blinking.
Yeah.
She has a scheduled call every week because we really feel that you kind of become part of our family and we want to make sure you're doing everything right. And we want to make sure all your questions are answered. So you will meet with me twice a month. And that's only for people that are in my program. So
Well,
you get a lot of questions like that.
but I did want to let everyone know how successful my husband's glaucoma was using the Inspirastar.
Well, thank you very much. And I'll be sending you a check for your check's in the mail. No,
Okay.
that's why I love the work that I do because so many people that sign up for the program, we get great results and people are happy.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Oh, Linda, you're back.
Yes, you said I could, I wanted to come around, but I was really excited to hear from Terry because, um, so the program you're talking about, like, how long is the program?
Okay, we used to have the program 1 year. And then I find that most people don't need it more than 3 months. You know, people that signed up for the program, we had the year program, I never hear from them. They didn't do their consults, and we called them. He says, well, I'm doing well. I don't need to talk to you. So that's why in order to reduce the cost with the program, we have it a 3-month program. Most people will get good results. They'll be happy in 3 months. If you don't have the good results, you can sign up for a longer period. So we want to, keep the cost down. At one time, the program was $24,000, and then you were required to come to my office for a week, and we did IVs and we did everything. And then COVID came, and then we had to make some changes. So we did an online program, and much to my surprise, the people on the online program, the home program, did just as well as those that came to Florida for a week. So the cost of the program is greatly reduced. I think it's around between $5,000 and $6,000, which includes the microcurrent machine, which is a $3,000 ticket item,
Oh, wow.
light therapy, the vitamins. So I think it's a really good a good price. We want to make it affordable. Make it affordable.
And I had another question. Now I just spaced it. Oh, I know. So with glaucoma, it's like we go in every 3 months to get checked again.
Uh-huh.
So when you see a difference, I mean, we can't, that's the problem with glaucoma. We don't know always, like they call it the silent blinder or something, because it just keeps,
Okay, well, how do I know the microcurrent is effective with your glaucoma?
yeah, if
Number
it's
one, when you go back for your glaucoma exam, they do a visual field. I
right.
think
So
Terry
that's three
mentioned
months.
the black spots were getting white. That's good. They also do pictures of your optic nerve. And also you will notice an improvement. Maybe things are sharper, colors are brighter. You may go to your doctor and say, wow, you're really doing good this visit. Your vision has improved, your pressure is low, you know, and you can smile because most doctors, if you tell them you're working with Dr. Kondrot, they're not too happy.
Yeah, I know. They went to have me make a choice between SLT and MIGS and, the cataract and the this and the that, and then all this other stuff. And I freaked out. But I've noticed since I saw her just a couple of weeks ago, I just had a trip back east and my eyes seemed to be worse just in that short time, which is surprising. But I asked her about microcurrent. My former doctor, I gave him a copy of your book, but I never got feedback that he read it. But this upper level glaucoma specialist at the clinic, I asked her about microcurrent, and you're right, she negated it.
Oh, they would shut their mind immediately. The one thing about me, I wear two hats. I do glaucoma surgery. I do
Right.
SLT. And, but it's a last resort. And sometimes I may recommend SLT for you. It depends on your glaucoma. I want what's the best for you. But there's no question incorporating microcurrent and alternative therapies is not going to hurt. It's going to definitely help. Here's the problem with glaucoma. Eye doctors are just focused on the pressure. There's two sides of the equation. It's the health of the optic nerve.
Right.
We've got to do a lot of things to improve the health of the optic nerve. You ask them about vitamins, exercise, they're going to say, well, forget it. Just take the drops.
Oh no, I asked her, I specifically asked her, is there a possibility when I'm working with weights? Because I notice I'm getting a little lightheaded when I'm leaning over. And she said, oh yeah, timolol. I said, well, I've been taking timolol for a very long time, but all of a sudden it started happening. Is that, is this related? She said, well, blood pressure. It's like, okay, well, and then I asked her about swimming because I wear goggles and they're putting pressure. She said, it may raise your pressure temporarily, but keep doing it. Don't worry about that because, the goggles put a lot of pressure on the eye. So, I mean, they're definitely happy with exercise.
Uh-huh. Well, the other thing about light therapy, I'm sure if you would ask her about light therapy, she would poo-pah that. But in 1948 or 50, there was an article published in the American Journal of Ophthalmology, which is our top peer review journal, that showed the benefit of light therapy in treatment glaucoma. So that was a published study.
But
So,
it's
you
still,
know, the literature's out there. And the early part of the 1900s, half the ophthalmologists were using homeopathy, combining homeopathy and surgery. So it's not like I'm doing something new. And believe it or not, microcurrent was used in the early 1900s. I'm not
Wow.
the first doctor to use microcurrent. There's published articles. And then what happened is, as many of you know, there was a big change in the practice of medicine. Big pharma
Yeah.
became in charge of medicine. Big pharma rules medicine. You know, and hopefully Bobby Kennedy is going to be changing these things, but there's so many great alternative therapies. Now, I'm not saying that alternative medicine is going to replace big pharma. You know, there's a place for both, but I think the majority of conditions, especially chronic conditions, should be treated with alternative, healthy measures, diet. And I'm convinced that right now the biggest issue in our country is obesity.
Can I ask you one more quick question, sidebar? For me to have you program the microcurrent, could I at the time have you put in other programs for other conditions so that
Yeah,
I don't,
most patients will do that.
yeah, that would be
You
great.
get a blank machine and you
Mhm.
put in 10 protocols. I put in 5, 5 to help your eye problem. And then you have the choice to pick 5 protocols. And we have every protocol under the sun.
So
In
at
fact,
that time, when you send it to me, I can have 10 different protocols that you've already, so not messing around necessarily from the
mhm.
get later
And
on.
the number one, you know, the number one protocol used in the world for
Hmm.
microcurrent is facial rejuvenation.
Ah, right.
That's the
No,
number one protocol.
I know
Of
my
course,
niece
so,
who's the
of course,
acupuncturist.
you don't need it, but maybe another person would.
Well, that's very kind of you. Glaucoma has definitely affected how my eyes look. Definitely, and thank you. And also thank you to Zoom filters. So we love those Zoom filters.
Yeah.
Thank
All
you
right.
so much, doctor. I will,
Thank you.
I'm going to send you. Yeah, great. Thank you. I look
Okay,
forward to
we have
talking to you.
another Kristen. Hello.
Okay, it's me again. What are your thoughts on, and you may have already addressed this, doctor, but on stem cell therapy, as in the Wharton's jelly? I don't know how to pronounce the word that begins with an M, but with the exosomes in it. Are you doing any
Well,
thought?
I initially when stem cells came out, I did a lot. In fact, I traveled to Italy. I worked with the Dr. Limeli. I went to Germany with stem cells. I researched stem cells, and the bottom line is, I don't think that it's worth the investment. The stem cells are very expensive. I have not seen that positive results, unfortunately. People
Have
are
you
paying
seen where it's
people are paying
damaging?
$24,000 for
Right.
stem cells. And I've done all the stem cells myself, and I've been disappointed. I'm getting much better result with light therapy,
Okay.
microcurrent. And here's the bottom line. Your body has stem cells.
Right.
You should be able to regenerate. For example, if I cut my finger, I don't have to go to a stem cell doctor and get stem cells for it to heal. I think what we're missing is we got to do therapies to improve our own stem cells.
Yeah.
If our stem cells are healthy, we don't need other stem cells. We need to invigorate and revitalize our stem cells. That's where light therapy, homeopathy, microcurrent. In fact, they did a study. Doctors are interested in they taking stem cells like embryonic stem cells or placenta stem cells, and they wanted to find out what increased the activity of the stem cells before they would administer them. And you know what they discovered? Light therapy was the
Yeah.
best way to increase
Wow.
these stem cells. So why not use light therapy on your own stem cells?
Mm-hmm.
And when you go outdoors and you're being exposed to the sunlight, you are stimulating your stem cells.
That's
There's
cool.
another way to stimulate your stem cells, and this is called earthing. Dr. Stephen Sinatra wrote a book called Earthing, and it's an amazing book. and it deals with putting the Earth's magnetic energy into your body. And how do you do that? You walk barefoot and you're in contact with the Earth. And he has hundreds of cases. And I was first introduced to earthing. I was at a national meeting. Imagine this, 5,000 doctors in the audience, and Dr. Sinatra's talking. And he says, the greatest discovery in my life is earthing. And he gave every doctor in the book, in that audience, a free copy of his book. That's 5,000 books he gave out because he felt this was the greatest discovery. And what you're doing is you're putting the microcurrent energy of the Earth into your body for healing. And many of us live our entire life without being connected to the Earth because we're wearing rubber-soled shoes. We're not being grounded. And that's one of the reasons when you go on vacation, you're barefoot, you're on the beach, you're walking in the salt water, you're grounded. So I would, encourage you to pick up a copy of the book. And we put those earthing frequencies into the microcurrent machine. So when
Oh,
you're
that's
doing the eye
nice.
program, you're getting the natural frequencies of the Earth into your eye.
Very nice. Thank you. Also, doctor, do you also use homeopathy for like if someone tests positive for food allergies or like because you're talking about nutrition and everything?
Well, I believe that the right homeopathic remedy will help all aspects of you. It's not like there's one homeopathic
Okay.
remedy for food allergy.
Right. Got you.
So whenever I do a homeopathic case, I'll ask all kind of questions about your health. Of course, I'm focused on your eye,
Right.
but I love it. After homeopathic remedy, I talk to the patient and they say, Dr. Kondrot, I don't know what you gave me, but I've never felt so good about myself.
Oh, nice.
Imagine that feeling good about yourself.
Yeah. Right.
That's what we want. Get rid of the
Mhm.
anxieties and worry. Once you start feeling good about yourself, your body will heal naturally.
That
We spend
makes
so much
perfect
of our
sense.
time dwelling on ailments and this and that, you just feel good about yourself and you begin to celebrate life and everything will heal automatically.
I love that. You had told me before to send my son's records because I told you he's 37 and he's lost so much vision with no diagnosis. And I, I can't remember where to send it to. I think I tried to and it didn't go through, but where do we send the records for you to look at, doctor, again?
Well, I would go to freeconsult.us.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Now, one of my most grateful patients, it was a guy that came to me. All he had was light perception. Light perception means he could just tell if the light was on or off. He couldn't tell the direction.
Wow.
After microcurrent and homeopathy, he had light projection. That means when the light came on, he could tell where the light was. He was one of my happiest patients because now he could walk into a room and if they had a light in the corner, he would be oriented to the room. It's hard to believe how much happiness that guy had going from light perception to
Oh, that
projection.
gives me the goosebumps. That's
It
because,
changed his life. He was
right.
now oriented.
Yeah.
And most
And the
people think,
gratitude
well, you
there.
didn't really
Yeah.
accomplish anything. What did you do?
Yeah.
But sometimes even a blind person can benefit from therapies because all of a sudden they may feel better about their blindness.
Yeah. Wow. That's
They
excellent.
feel more comfortable. In fact, one of my favorite patients was a blind lady.
Really?
I treated her for about 5 years. She was totally blind. She loved the microcurrent because after doing the microcurrent, she would think that she could see the sun. And she was like really happy. Oh, I saw the sun today.
So of course it's helping. What you're doing is also helping, like if someone has ADHD or depression and anxiety, all this helps together, right? Yeah.
Right, exactly. We have, the microcurrent, the homeopathy, we're treating all those associated conditions.
Beautiful. Thank you, doctor, for what you do. And by the way, you look very good for whatever, 75. keep rocking. Thank you
So
so much.
75 is the new 40, right, Linda?
For you, for
75
you. For you it is.
I'm 75. It's the new 40.
You're doing something right.
Well, I practice what I preach. My diet and I do microcurrent. I do homeopathy.
Yeah, great. I love your blog too. I just look forward to it, or your Substack, and I just really appreciate everything you do. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, thank you. And thanks for being part of Substack.
Sure, thanks.
All right, other questions? Okay, Linda, any? Oh, you're muted.
I just wanted to say, I really appreciate, I've been coming to these sessions for, I don't know, 4 months, 5 months, whatever. And you're just, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. I mean, I've read your book. I keep going back to your book. I keep on coming to these sessions. I read your blog, and you're in my corner. And so now I'm going to have you in my room. So
All
thank
right,
you.
good. Well,
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much. I really
I look
appreciate it.
forward to that, but don't let my wife know that I'm going to be in your room. She'll be very
Well,
upset.
virtual room.
I'm happily married, so
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
am I. We're not going there.
okay, we're not going
Thank,
there. Okay.
thank you so much.
All right. Well, if there's no other questions, thank you so much for joining, and we'll be meeting again.
Thank you.
Okay, and blessings to everybody.
Thank you. You too.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.